the great Daddy Coogee.
What country you from? What ain't no country I ever heard of?
Good.
She probably still got an old school TV.
Why do you say this to me?
I'm the only girl, so I wanted to do anything that my brothers were doing.
Oh, yeah, you blend. She's cute too, huh?
Indeed!
That's fine. Just give us a second.
She with you?
The film was just lazy. Like I said, they like vision.
But you got to have vision.
I'm a big JRPG person.
We've just lost half the audience.
Supposed to be full. Oh, why?
But he'd have to be fast. I'm your man. No, you're not. You're too slow.
It ain't just about being fast.
I did not see one Asian in that movie.
Let's not stand on ceremony here.
It's a business. Who cares about the people's feelings?
Aim for the bushes.
I could do this all day.
I got big boy pants on!
What's going on out there in Junkie Land? It's Wednesday. I'm Kenshiro, and we're back with Culture Junkies Live, episode 17. And we're going to be talking about some of y'all's issues. Y'all got some real issues, I have to say. Just with this fake outrage about everything. I mean, you got Juri and Street Fighter who's just getting ready to come out. Y'all bitching about her not being scantily clad. You got Moana over here, the Disney movie with the big Samoan. Y'all complaining about Samoans are now being fat shamed because he doesn't look like Roman Reigns and The Rock and Jason Momoa. I mean, come on, man. Really? Y'all find anything to complain about, won't you? So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and have a pretty cool show. Got a couple of guys with me hanging out today, as always. We got Mr. GQ. What's going on, man?
Not much. I'm looking at some more fake outrage with Captain America, issue number 2.
Right.
Talking about why he's hailing Hydra. So
right.
We can throw that on the fire as well.
Certainly, we certainly shall. And Mr. Eric Joseph from Dark Knight News. What's going on, my friend?
Hi, it's good to be here. And the way GQ just put that, I was picturing like a Cosmopolitan magazine with like Captain America on the cover. Why he hails Hydra. Find out inside.
Well done. Well done. So anyway, guys, let's get to it. So let's start at the beginning of this whole thing, right? So we had the whole thing with Moana. I think that's kind of like one of the things that kind of came out this week, really. The outrage kind of blew up. You have this movie starring a Polynesian. You can't even call her a Disney princess, even though that I'm sure a lot of people will. But you got this Polynesian girl, and she's, her basically her companion through her little Disney adventure is going to be a panda bear, big, Polynesian guy, covered in tattoos and everything. Now, Big Kahuna is going to be joining us in a little while. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about this, but what I can say for myself is that, Big Kahuna is a pretty big guy. A lot of the Samoans that I've seen are pretty big guys. But I don't see the problem here. I mean, just because he's not muscular and, stereotypically handsome, I mean, I guess they want to just complain and say that he's, not what is supposed to be, or he's, that they're being done wrong. So what do you guys think about this whole thing, this fake outrage? GQ, I know you got a pretty good viewpoint on it. So what do you say?
Well, okay. With regard to the Samoan thing, there's a line in Pulp Fiction where the guy says, Jules is describing a situation to Vincent, played by John Travolta, and he says essentially the guy is, he's just like, they're talking about this guy that Marcellus Wallace, their boss, basically roughed up because he touched his wife's feet, and he was describing what the guy looks like, and he's like, look, there's this guy Tony Rocky Horror, he's half black, half Samoan, and John Travolta's character is like, oh, you mean fat, right? He's like, no, he's not, wouldn't so go far as to call a brother fat. I mean, he's Samoan. What's he gonna do? So, as funny as that line is, there's definitely some truth to it. The Rock, who a lot of people obviously know now, is Samoan. It's like the dude is huge. Now, granted, he's become a heck of a lot more cut and chiseled over the years. But if you look back at his debut in wrestling, he was kind of he was a big dude, but he wasn't, overly muscular. He had a little bit of, a gut and everything. So it's like, it's not so much a stereotype if there's a overabundance of truth to it. So for me, whatever. It's like, dude, he's a big dude. So what? It's not like it's not a true thing. The dude that played E Honda in that horrible Street Fighter movie, he was Samoan. Like, dude, he looked just like the character, and that's why they cast him, because he looked just like the character, and he's always looked like that in his whole life. Because he was even in John Cena's movies, I think the Marine. So it's like, dude, that's one of the traits of people that come from that particular part of the world. So it is what it is. Let it be. So,
Eric, what do you think?
Gonna be mad about something.
They do. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah. GQ brings up some good points because, you know, those of us who are wrestling fans know about this Samoan dynasty that's existed for like 30, 40 years. And basically a lot of them are related, from, you know, the Wild Samoans to the Head Shrinkers. You know, one of them went on to, you know, who more people know Fatu as Rikishi these days, you know, to the Usos, The Rock, even Yokozuna, Umaga, Roman Reigns. All these guys are related. That's why they're, you know, considered a dynasty, but it's also simple genetics of what, you know, what ethnicity you might be, you know, you're prone to certain traits. And like even The Rock, as good of shape as he's in, as GQ pointed out, those of us who watched during the Attitude Era, now you may remember there was a time when The Rock wrestled in t-shirt and track pants for several months. And that's when he was holding the title. That's because he actually, when, you know, men from that region, when they reach a certain age, they start to basically develop breasts. And despite, you know, his physique he worked hard at, he was developing them, and he had to have, you know, surgery to get rid of, you know, fat around that area. So while the scar tissue healed, that's why he was wrestling in t-shirt and track pants for so long. But yeah, I just think people think they can have it both ways, because at the same time they're saying, oh, look at all these unrealistic body types in movies and, you know, Barbie action figures. And then when they have someone that's overweight, they're outraged. And I don't know. People are going to bitch either way, and there's really nothing we can do about it. It's the human race, and it's what makes them special.
I totally agree with you. They will bitch no matter what. They'll find something to bitch about. And we saw it, like GQ was reading when the show first came on. They were complaining about Captain America, you know, supposedly being a Hydra agent. Now, this week, it's revealed that there's a twist behind the whole thing. What is a GQ? What's the big twist for everybody that can't see it?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, okay, and I haven't read the whole thing yet. I already know what the gist of the story is. So essentially, you know, you have the Cosmic Cube, which in the movies they've, you know, turned into the Tesseract, you know, the reality. The Space Gem. In this particular sense, as we already know for comics, so the Cosmic Cube has insane amounts of powers. It's not necessarily an Infinity Stone. It just is powerful. So part of the story is the Cosmic Cube became, you know, got a consciousness and became this little girl. So she's the one that kind of, you know, messed up the timeline. And Red Skull, of course, had a little bit of, you know, hindering. I'm not hindering, but a little bit of tampering in there. So it's like, guys, you know full well Steve Rogers, true to life Captain America, true blue, dyed in the wool Captain America is never going to truly be a Nazi. You know it's a story twist. So it's like, it was hilarious to watch people last month get all in a tizzy over this, buying issues just to burn them. It's just like,
they tied themselves in knots over that whole thing.
Right. It's like you're giving Marvel money either way. They're going to the bank one way or the other on this one, regardless of how many issues you burn. So it's just like, and I think that's become the problem with society today. Everybody is so short fused. They're so quick to react. They don't want to just take a step back and be like, wait, why is that being done? You know, versus reactionary. And everybody, you know, again, I you know, succumb to it every now and then too, but it's become the norm. People react before they sit back and think and then give an actual, you know, sensible response to something.
Sensible
Captain America thing is
response?
hilarious.
A sensible response? I'm not sure such a thing can actually really happen in today's social media, instant 24/7 news cycle day and age where everything's instant and you got to have an instant reaction to everything, because if you don't have an instant reaction, then 5 seconds later the news is old, you know. So I always like to take a measured response to everything. So I always like to read first, you know, don't speak without, you know, having innate knowledge of what is you're speaking on. You should never ever approach from the standpoint of ignorance. But a lot of people seem to be doing that nowadays. They want to make snap, you know, rush judgments, and you know, then they make themselves look like fools. So
I think
go ahead.
I think the problem, and again, it goes back to, like you said, the social media aspect. Everybody wants to be first. Everybody wants to be the first person to have said it, or the first person that broke the news, or whatever. And it's just like, and I think Eric can definitely speak to this. We've seen plenty of times where certain websites will put out the rumors as if they're fact, and they'll just act like, boom, Marvel is about to acquire like all of the X-Men. And they'll just put it out there like it's an article just because it's a clickbait. And people
Confirmed.
about it. The more clicks you get, the more money you get. Yeah, and it's just like, it's like, can we get back to actual journalism for like articles, and can we get back to people like I don't know, thinking before they speak sometimes?
Right.
It's hard. It's hilarious to see.
It is. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw with that little sneak peek, we've got a special guest or someone joining us kind of late. Mr. Bolo Young himself, Big Kuna. What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh.
Yes. So, hey, let's get your take on the whole Moana controversy. I kind of said that I thought it was overblown. You know, Samoans are kind of known for their big boned physique. For the most part, you know, not everybody's going to look like Roman Reigns or The Rock or Jason Momoa. You know, a lot of them will look a little more heavy set, but that doesn't mean that they're fat or anything like that. To me, they've always just been really muscular. So what's your take on it?
It's just fake outrage, man. I mean, for those who don't know, I'm actually from Hawaii. Hey, we got some big dudes there. I'm a big dude myself, and just big guys, big women. And yeah, like he said, Samoans. I mean, Samoans are fucking huge. I mean, they're growing big in Samoa.
They do.
And it's just it's fake outrage. I mean, I wasn't offended by it at all. Like I said, the character Maui that's being portrayed in the movie Moana. I think they got the inspiration from I don't know if you showed a clip of it or anything, but there's a Hawaiian musician that passed away. His name is Brother Is. I think that's who they got their inspiration from, because he was a really big dude, had a big nose, same style hair. I mean, if you pull up some of the pictures of him, he looks like Moana. He looks like Maui, who's in Moana. When I first saw the controversy, you know, I was reading different blogs about it, and there were like a couple of people who were like offended about it or whatever. But for the most part, most of the Polynesian people, they're happy to just have this movie that's coming out.
The representation.
Yeah, the representation of Polynesian culture and everything like that is telling the story about the Hawaiian Islands and all that. So yeah, for the most part, nobody's really outraged about it except for the few people who always like to, you know, fake outrage about every single thing that comes out. So yeah, I'm happy for it. I mean, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Right. So Eric's got himself a little anecdote that he wants to share with us, and I'll let him have the floor, and I'll show some pictures of Brother Is. There he is on the screen, and that's, you know, kind of what he's supposed to look like in relation to Maui. You said his name is, right?
In Moana, he's playing the demigod Maui. Okay. Maui in the Hawaiian folklore, Maui is the one that actually brought up the Hawaiian Islands.
Okay.
He tricked his, but you see that big fish hook he has in the in the cartoon. Well, that's what he used to bring up the island. He had his brothers. he tricked his brothers into helping him bring up the islands from the sea.
Okay. Go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, when we have controversies like this, it seems like the people who have problems with it are less the ones of the ethnicity in question, and more so just like
exactly
the people who are just going to complain about this at a coffee house with a half dozen or so people on the planet who can somewhat tolerate their existence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
And he's right about that, because when I read the blogs and I was looking at the comments, I purposely went to look at these people's profile pictures. And a lot of these people were like Caucasian people, or
of course,
it was like, I saw a few like
Did they have any
other ethnicities.
Twirled mustaches by chance?
You said what?
Did they have any wax twirled mustaches?
Wow.
They're drinking like wheatgrass juice or something.
And honestly, and I'm glad Eric said that, because I was thinking the exact same thing. I'm just sitting here like, dude, it's a movie about Polynesians and Hawaiians and Samoans. It's just like, I bet you the people that are complaining are the quote unquote Beckys of the world. It's like, what the hell are you complaining? I'm just serious. I hate to even say it that way, but it's like, why are you complaining? This has absolutely nothing to do with your culture, with you, any of that. If it's, for example, like when you have people that complain about like things that they see like with black characters, it's like, hold on. Not to sound crass, but you're not black, so you don't understand what it is that character represents, what they, what their backstory is, whatever. And it's like, you can't have outrage in that regard because you don't have history. You don't have, you haven't experienced what it's like to be of that ethnicity or background or what have you. So it's like, if it's something that's gender neutral and race neutral, all day long you can be offended and have problems. But if it's like, dude, like, I don't like how they're displaying the Polynesians in this movie. You're white. What the hell do you care? I mean, it's and again, no offense to anybody. I just think it's silly and Eric's 100% right. It's always those people that sit there in the coffee shop and complain about everything, and it's just like, it has absolutely nothing to do with you. You don't have any ground to stand on to be offended. So
exactly,
exactly.
Whatever. I always just think it's funny.
And then when if you saw the trailer of the cartoon, he's a big dude, but you saw the way he was moving. He wasn't moving like no little slow slouch. I mean, he was hopping around.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, and like Eric said earlier, it's like people complain about the body types and all that other sort of thing. It's like, dude, you got a big dude in a movie now, and he's not like being the stereotypical big slow dude like Kahuna said. He's very relevant to the film. So
powerful.
I don't really right. It's like I don't see that as necessarily a slight. I see it as more of a dude. It's inclusive. It's all it's including all types. It's not just you gotta have the Rock in there basically. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, come on now.
Mm-hmm. So what are some other examples of some of the fake outrage that we've seen of late that really get kind of tiresome for everybody to even have to deal with? Now, another one, and this is relevant to GQ's interests, is Juri from Street Fighter 5. She's undergone a costume change. Now, one of the things that Juri was known for was, having that, that cool, sadistic, personality. But she was also known for having this really flashy, skin showing, Taekwondo type outfit, right?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Yeah, they well, here's the funny thing about that. Like, anybody that's played Street Fighter 5, if you've gone through Cammy's story mode, well, not story mode, but prologue, Juri's in her story, part of her story through artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So her outfit is like, this, skin tight black jumpsuit type thing, zipped like all the way down almost to the belly button. And obviously the artist took some license and made her busty and all the usual look. So when they revealed her earlier this week in game, because she's going to be part of the story mode that's coming out Friday, they've like basically taken that same outfit and all the parts that were like exposed skin is suddenly like black, as almost as like if it's a second skin like Under Armour like outfit that she's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like people are just kind of like, why did you do that? Like, you obviously showed what it looked like before, Now again, we don't know if this is the finalized costume, if this is something where like, okay, color 1 has it with the skin covered, maybe color 5 has it with the skin exposed. Who knows? We don't know yet. But this goes back to more of the silliness, and some people call it censorship, some people call it artistic license, that has gone on with Street Fighter 5, where like they've gone from changing how Armika's super move looks and Cammy's entrance and quote unquote breast physics on like Chun Li and some of the other girls. And it's like people are like, oh, well, you did this and you changed this, but look at Laura. It's like, well, who cares? Just whatever. The game is rated T for teen. I'm sure a lot of teens out there have seen way worse than anything they've seen in Street Fighter. So let's just chill.
Exactly.
If you don't like it, don't buy the game for them.
Maybe they did enter some kind of partnership with like Under Armour or Spanx or something, and it's just product placement.
Right.
You never know.
Now, I'm gonna show a little screen of what what Juri looks like right now. There she's over on the right. Obviously, you can see that it's got a very, very deep cut. Probably zipped down. Trying to be overly sexy and overly busty. And like GQ said, in the final version, when we finally do see her in the game or the screens that they had, she's completely covered up. And a lot of the pervs are complaining about it. So, I mean, really, like he even said, this is much ado about nothing. Who cares? It'll probably be another costume that they'll nickel and dime you for anyway. So, why even waste your breath? What's with the outrage?
Wait,
I don't get it.
You said they covered her up?
Yeah, they covered her up.
So the pervs are pissed.
Yeah, the pervs are mad.
They just want to know she's had her electrolysis.
Oh wow, wow.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, the funny thing is though, is like if you look for some people have had a field day with Photoshop on that picture already, like her newer outfit, because now they've turned it into a swimsuit. They've turned it into like a burqa, like a complete like full on. I mean, they've just been doing crazy things with it, but it's like it goes to show rage crazy, and again, this goes back to that reacting before you think type of thing. It's like people like the moment they got shown, I was on GameFAQs looking around and just putting in stuff and talking to different people about other stuff in Street Fighter, and it was topic after topic. Juri got censored, and I hate that they covered her up, and this and that's just like the game's not even. It's like the character's not even available to actually play yet. You've only seen her in like a snippet of a trailer for a completely different character. So how are you just jumping to these conclusions that it's all completely wrong and they've changed everything? It's like, wait till Friday, then you can actually find out one way or the other.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is on the screen. I'm showing it.
In story mode, you can't. Yeah, and it's like she's only playable in story mode. Just for story mode. Like you can't even actually physically use the character normally until sometime later in the year when she's officially released. So it's like you guys are getting mad about something you have zero control over to begin with. I mean, there was even a petition on change.org to change her back to the story.
Oh, come on.
Guys, you don't. It's like, guys, you don't know you don't know yet. Just wait.
Fallen Marvel brings up a very good point. He's over there in the chat on YouTube, and he says, I don't see how that takes away from my gaming experience. There's still tons of Dead or Alive games out there for me to play, and he's absolutely right. If you want to get your sexy gamer girl thing going on, there's no shortage of that. Why are you wasting your breath? I mean, seriously, if that's what you really play the game for, you can go somewhere else.
There are also real girls out there too.
What was that? Yeah, there's right. There's real girls out there, right? Get a life. There's real girls, right?
Well, here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing on that, and this goes back to another thing that came out of GameFAQs. They're also releasing a bikini for like one of the girls this Friday or something like that as another costume.
Karen,
I got into
right?
a discussion with this. Yeah, for Karen. I got into a discussion with this guy on GameFAQs. He was talking. The topic came up of like, okay, well, which girl, quote unquote, looks the best or whatever. So it was a poll. So I'm like, let me just vote. Who cares? Whatever. And this guy gets on. It's like, this is why all these people are in these topics are virgins, because you guys always fantasize about fictional girls. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, for one, you don't know who you're talking to a whole bunch of strangers. You don't know who dates who or goes where or does what. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, like, please, half the women I've dated, you will be jealous. So,
right?
It's like, why do people like jump to that conclusion right away? I always thought it was hilarious. I'm like, dude, real girls, yes. But again, a guy is going to notice a nice shape, whether it's fictional or real. That's just truth. I'm sorry. I'm like, this is be realistic. They're not. It's just. It becomes a problem when you ogle and fantasize over one that's fake versus one that's real. But real, come on now. All of us in this show have seen Jessica Rabbit. It's like, dude, that's a nice shape. I don't care what any of y'all say. When you first saw Roger Rabbit, just like, that's a nice shape.
I'm sure there's a lot more that was said. I'm sure there was a lot more that was said.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to hear it. It's like, please, all heterosexual men, when they see a nice shape, fictional or otherwise, it's like, yeah, they'll take notice.
They will. Gokai Red actually brings up a very good point over on Twitch. Gokai Red 12 says, not sure if you talked about it yet, but there are people complaining about the main character for Watch Dogs 2 being black. Yes, they were. That was a big thing last weekend. It was like, he's saying like, I'm so sure there's no black hackers anywhere in this world, which we know is an absolute lie. There's plenty of black hackers out there in real life. I don't understand. You know, that's another point. You know, people will bitch and complain about a character being a certain race. They'll bitch and complain about like, remember back in the day when Mass Effect first came out, how people were bitching about, you know, Fem Shepard being able to hook up with any of the female characters on there, or even Male Shepard being able to hook up with any of the male characters on there. It was the first, you know, game that let you have you know, homosexual relationships with anybody in there. Now, it was completely up to you whether you chose to do it or not, but the fact that it was in there at all was just a sticking point for them. So, what's your comments on that? What do you guys think about the fake outrage over, you know, sexuality? You know, the racism faced with certain characters being a certain intelligence level or defying stereotypes. What do you guys think about that? Not all at once now. Kahuna, Eric.
I was going to let somebody else talk.
Right.
I've talked a lot.
Eric, what do you think?
I haven't seen any of the Watch Dogs footage yet, but I mean, come on, realistically, they're black hackers. I mean, I think it was once said Brazil has like the highest concentration of hackers on the planet, actually. But I mean, hackers come in all shapes and sizes, just like Disney characters, I guess. But yeah, the people complaining, they're just probably all of the same ilk anyway. Probably the same, you know, white trash guys who are waking me up at 4 in the morning on a Monday setting off fireworks because it's a week till the 4th of July. But I don't know. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now.
Kahuna, jump in there, man.
I'm pissed. That's a true story. Someone woke me up at 4 a.m. on Monday setting off fireworks in the courtyard.
Kahuna, jump in there. What do you think about all that?
That's real outrage.
It's stupid, man. It doesn't, unless the race or sexuality has actually something to do or affect the you know, what the story of the character, or, you know, I don't know if I'm making sense about that, but who cares? Like, I knew 2 black hackers long time ago. I mean, I still wish I knew them, but yeah, I knew 2 black hackers. So I mean, since when does a hacker have to be a certain, you know, race or sex or whatever like that? I never, you know, I haven't really paid attention to watch.
Yeah, real hackers have curves.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I haven't paid attention to the Watchdog thing or anything like that, but I will look it up. But yeah, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Like I said, it's just more stuff to be. It's just fake outrage, man. That's all you can ever say. Like they need something to bitch about, something to cry about, something to make a meme about. There's 100 more ways you can use a meme.
Mm-hmm.
I should know.
Yes, you should know. You
Say,
should.
you should. Being a meme master over there and whatnot, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, hold on. It's like, where's he going with the meme thing? Because you use memes all the time. No, but as far as the outrage, especially the race thing, it's like, seriously, one of the first neurosurgeons was black. The traffic light was invented by a black man. So it's just like, there's all sorts of things where it's just like the intelligence thing is definitely not a direct correlation to race. So let's just be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there's black hackers, there's female hackers, there's Asian hackers, there's white hackers, there's probably a hacker that lives in an igloo that probably is hacking right at this minute. It's like, dude, just get over it. It's it's 2016. Let's just be realistic here. There's some things that just really need to die as far as stereotypes and the race thing, and it's like, dude, just get over yourself. It's like some people is like they want to be so important they gotta find something to complain about and talk about, and it's like, dude, just be real. Like, it's not that important. Like you guys have already said, it's not that important.
Well, Gokai Red also made a comment over on Twitch. He said, the whole anger over, someone being black, like having a black hacktivist or whatever, is similar to the way that, people were mad about Finn being so prominent in Star Wars Episode 7. And he tried to draw a direct correlation, saying, did they not know that Vader was voiced by a black man? Well, for many years, no, they did not. They did not know that he was voiced by a black man. And when they found out he was, that he was voiced by a black man, a lot of them got kind of pissed. They did, and it was ridiculous when it came up. Yeah.
There's no black people in space.
There's no black, right? There's no black people in space.
Okay, but here's the thing, and this is where it gets really funny. Out of all of Star Wars, we already know Empire is still the best one so far. There was a black man running an entire city in that movie. Did they forget about that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on now. It's just some of the stuff that people just, it's like they get stuck in tunnel vision and they miss all of this over here. They're just so stuck on that, fixated on that one little thing that they're mad about or upset about or can't stand. It's just like, okay, yeah, but you missed the part where there's a black dude running like the entire Cloud City. So let's just be realistic here. So I don't know. And then it's like a black stormtrooper. Ooh, wow! God forbid a black man in space wants to make a living and join the military, or in the funny case of the stormtroopers in the New Order, they're kidnapped. But whatever.
I mean, shit. From the prequels, you saw what the stormtroopers was cloned from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
Everyone's 10 feet tall behind a keyboard. I mean, I don't know. I've seen arguments break out so easily these days, and I don't know. It's a social media thing. Part of it's a nerd culture thing, but these days, so many times, I'm just finding myself backspacing over everything I type because I just don't feel like talking to anyone anymore. It's just, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Right?
I'm 33. I've seen it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's.
Oh, Fallen Marvel brings up something else good. You like, or were they outraged when Morgan Freeman was the POTUS in Deep Impact? I'm sure actually some of them actually pretty much were. And then look where we were. Some 8 years later when Obama got elected.
I don't know. Deep Impact. The thing I took away from Morgan Freeman in that movie was it was playing on the TV behind me when I was on the computer. This is like a year or two ago. And, when you're on the computer, you're not hearing what's going on TV. But I must have stopped what I was doing. And the only thing I heard Morgan Freeman say was, I suppose I couldn't convince you to sit on this for 2 weeks. and that stuck with me. Of course, I took it in a different
Well, hey,
context.
let's not forget.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but
Okay.
let's
All
not
right.
nice,
All
nice.
right.
Let's not forget. Going back to Fifth Element, there was a black man in charge of what, the universe or whatever the heck he was in charge of. He was the president of something, but he was like over like a lot. So it's like it doesn't matter.
No, it
Just
doesn't.
let it. It is what it is. You know, it's fit. You know, in a lot of cases, everything we're talking about is fiction. So who cares?
Right. Why get so wrapped
You
up in
know.
fiction? I mean, there was a lot of people when back when that whole Finn thing was going on. I remember that. They were talking about oh no, not Star Wars and Finn. The Dark Tower. When Idris Elba got cast in that prominent role because they envisioned him being a white guy. Same thing with the little girl in was it Pym? Not Pym. The little girl in the Hunger Games. That Katniss was protecting, the one that died for her. I forget her name. I can't recall her name right now. But when she was portrayed as being black in the movies, a lot of the readers were completely outraged. They were like, "Oh my God!" It's like I was worried about this little black girl. I felt for the, and they were just like, I was just listening. I was like, "Wow,
Oh,
really?"
what about what's that one with damn, was it a Harry Potter movie or something that's in
Harry
the
Potter.
making?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's on Broadway. On Broadway.
And the cast, somebody was black, and then they got
Hermione
pissed about it. And
Hermione is
even
black.
JK was like, "Who said that she was a white girl?"
Right. I mean, just because she was established that way in the films, they automatically assume
Yeah,
that Hermione is automatically white. Well, she
yeah.
tried to flip
The
the
person,
script.
the person who created the damn character even said it was like, "Yo, who the hell said that she was a white lady?"
Yeah, and that's just it. When the creator weighs in on it, you kind of basically have to be like, okay, we're done. Conversation's over because this is the person that made it. So I don't know. I've always just found it really funny and odd that people get so hung up on that and so outraged, you know, quote unquote outraged about things like that. Because it's like, let's just be realistic. At the end of the day, you can't change it. At the end of the day, no, I'm sorry, 50 years from now, who's going to care? So I don't know. I've never understood why people get so up in arms about things that really have no bearing on anything, you know, and uh, I don't know. It's always been amusing to me, and I like to laugh at people when they do it.
Yeah, that's like when people were complaining about Bane in The Dark Knight Rises and saying he's not Bane because he doesn't have the venom, but Chuck Dixon, who created him, was very pleased by his portrayal. I'm like, yeah, sure, he didn't have the venom or even Hispanic accent, but he was, brought up in a prison, and character-wise, he was Bane. I mean, granted, Schumacher got the look down, but that character-wise, that was not Bane and Batman and Robin. But I mean, I do think they did Bane well in Rises, and changing the mask too. I mean, Bane wasn't as well known. I mean, other than Batman and Robin to the mainstream, but quite frankly, I mean, the luchador mask worked, but the mask they created for the movie was iconic. And
yeah, and Batman and Robin, he was a damn Neanderthal. I'm like, Bane is one of the smartest
Yeah.
dudes.
Yeah, I think they just think because he's big and muscle bound, he must be dumb, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, and it's a little nitpick on that mask, is at the very end of the movie when he was like, breaking the little can. It's like, okay, hold on. These canisters are like that big. How much pain medication or whatever are these things supposed to be holding? Because he has been wearing that thing for years, as far as we know, and I haven't seen him change one of those things yet. So I mean, that was the only little thing that I thought was like, dude, really? I'm sorry, but yeah, I agree though. Bane in that movie was cool. It's just there were certain other things in that movie that kind of threw me. But like you said, all of the elements of the character as written were there for sure.
Yeah, if I was Batman, I'd have been pissed. Like, what the fuck? Is that all I had to do? All I had to do was unplug one of your little things?
Actually, if you go back to their first fight, like halfway through the movie, one of the first punches Batman throws is at Bane's mask. So, I don't get it. I don't know. I've said before, I like The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, granted, it's my least favorite in the trilogy, but I acknowledge there are some sound problems with the film, but there are some people out there who refuse to acknowledge it. They're like, oh no, Nolan's work is absolutely flawless. But no, it's possible to like a movie and say there are problems with it. You don't have to just love or hate something, you know?
Man, I think the first week or two after I saw the movie in theaters, I think I was speaking in Bane's voice and just quoting it all the damn time.
Wasn't Tom Hardy's voice just so awesome there though? It's playing in our intro, of course.
Yeah, I mean it's not the Hispanic accent, but what you got to like about it is
works,
like,
man.
It distinguished it. Hardy came up with a character voice, like even Heath Ledger. I mean, granted, we all have to love Jack Nicholson, but he was just speaking as Jack Nicholson. Heath Ledger came up with a character voice, and I like that Hardy didn't sound like Tom Hardy. You know, that is something I like about the performance, and I think the speech that he gave in front of Blackgate Prison was a really good performance in that film.
You know what's crazy now though is if you ever watch the movie Legends, where he plays the Cray brothers, he plays the twin brothers. When he plays the crazy one, all you hear is Bane.
Yeah, I noticed that in the trailer. Like he just went Bane voice, like when the character lost his cool at one point.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie, every time you heard him spoke, I just cracked up because all I could hear was Bane.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like when I got to interview Jeffrey Combs at Midwest Media Expo a few months back. Like I was transcribing as I was listening to the recording, but I don't know if any of you remember. I was like posting status updates on Facebook. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. It sounds like I'm talking to the Question.
Nice.
Oh yeah, he went to his Question voice. Nice.
No, it's like his voice just. Granted, he makes it a little more noirish on Justice League Unlimited, but his natural voice is pretty close to the Question.
Okay. All right.
Sweet.
All right.
That's somebody I'd love to see them throw in the Justice League somehow, some way.
Question.
I don't know how. Maybe they're thinking that's a little too far, but the Question is a very cool character.
He is.
They could easily do him on Arrow.
They could.
Yeah, that's very true. That's true.
But then I'd be more interested in seeing the Question than I would be seeing Arrow. But I think that's been the problem the last 2 or 3 seasons. Maybe?
I don't know. I think Arrow's the show Question would fit in most now.
Yeah. How would Arrow and Constantine be there? That'd be something. That's just me throwing stuff out there by random. So anyway, we got about 15 minutes left. I guess one of the things we're gonna talk about briefly on Friday, I'll bring it up now, is hopefully everybody gets a chance to see Batman vs Superman, the director's cut. I got to see a little bit of it, but I'm gonna save my thoughts for Friday. Eric is supposed to see it. Was supposed to review the Blu-ray for We Got This Covered, but he hasn't gotten his copy yet. Now, what were your hopes with this director's cut? Were you hoping that it would improve it? Because I know, for the most part, Kahuna never even wants to talk about it anymore. But he has no choice. He has to talk about it again. He's seen it all already, but I'll ask him to save his thoughts for Friday as well. But what were we hoping to see with this thing? Were we hoping to see that, maybe Snyder doesn't deserve all the hate he's been getting? Were we hoping to see that maybe this thing is really just a victim of incredibly bad cutting or editing? What were your thoughts, Kahuna? What were you hoping to see?
My thing was I was hoping to see whatever it is that they cut out to make the story so just choppy and whatever. I was hoping to see stuff that would fill in the gaps.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what I was mainly looking for. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to change a lot of the movie. I was just hoping that that little half an hour, which would be, a couple minutes here and there throughout the whole movie, would kind of fill in gaps of like, what the hell happened here, blah blah blah. And yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
What about you, GQ? What were you hoping for to see with this movie?
To be honest, and again, I completely understand the editing process for films. I understand how editing can make or break a film, and actually make a bad film somewhat decent, and make a decent film terrible. So, given the fact that they were trying to say that this original cut was supposed to be about 4 hours long, and this one has gotten it down to 3, to me that sounds like there's still going to be some stuff missing. That's going to be just gone, and never basically edited in, or never returned to almost like a Donner, Richard Donner cut or anything.
Yeah.
I honestly, again, I'm going to buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray, because I buy every movie, superhero movie. I just don't think, in my personal opinion, that adding a little bit more action, because granted, let's just be real, Batman was the core of all of the action in this movie, with the exception of the final act. And so, like, unless you give Wonder Woman something else to do, or Superman something else to do, adding more action is not really going to sew up, a lot of the holes that were in this film. So, I don't know. I'm just hoping that this director's cut adds a little bit more to it, and kind of makes the story a little bit more cohesive. And that's about it. Because I mean, it's half an hour is a decent chunk of movie, but like Ahuna said, it's going to be spread out throughout a 2.5 hour movie, and and adding to it here and there. So it's not like it's a whole big huge chunk that we missed. It's going to be little pieces that we've missed. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I don't know if one of the culture junkies, Mighty DRE, he had posted the Collider Heroes review. They did a review right after they saw the movie in the theaters, that that one night only that they had. I don't know if anybody, any of our listeners had seen that review. They were talking about it also, and they were kind of, it turned it around for them. There was one guy that was like me, who just, not really like me, but some of us who just couldn't wait to just bash the movie whenever it was possible. Like Kenshiro's infamous disclaimer.
I'm only here to post the news. That's it. It's not no influence from me. Just stating the facts. Fun.
But I'm still going to buy the Blu-ray also. I mean,
yeah, me too.
It's still something you got to have in the collection.
Yeah, I agree. It's the first one with Batman and a Superman. You have to do it. Gokai Red says it's too late. They gave us what they did, and they can't fix it. There is no director's cut for Hulk with Eric Bana, and I think we're all glad for that. Fallen Marvel says it should have just been a 2-hour event movie focusing on Superman, and the other one, or I think what he means is it should have been a 2-part movie, or maybe he does mean, it says 2-hour event, 2-part event. Yeah, it should have been 2 movies. One focusing on Superman, the other focusing on Batman. Now, I don't know. I can understand that part, but I don't know. Ralph says it needs 45 to 50 minutes. Well, check back on Friday, and we'll kind of give you our viewpoints on it all. And of course,
did you get Eric?
Hold on. What is? Yeah,
no,
right. What is Eric?
I'm gonna get Eric. I was actually just getting ready to go to him. I was just reading some of the stuff in the chat. Eric, what were you hoping to see? I mean, now, granted, we have to have full disclosure here. Out of everybody on this show today, Eric liked this movie the most. He was one of the champions of this movie in the theater. He thought it was good. So he's already going to say maybe there's not much more they can improve, but there's some things you can see. So, Eric, what did you want to see in Batman vs Superman, the extended cut?
Well, yes, I did like the movie, but like what I said with Rise is, it's possible to like a movie and acknowledge there are problems with it. Like Man of Steel, they decided to put most of the action in the second half, and I doubt the director's cut's going to change that. But yes, there were problems with editing and story gaps, and from the people I've talked to with seeing it, they say yes, it absolutely does fill in more of the story. I'm not sure if this is quite confirmed. I heard the Batman-Superman fight isn't quite as lopsided in Batman's favor, but I don't know about that, because, I mean, as much as I am a Batman fan, I mean, come on, it's Superman. He's going to kick your ass. But yeah, I also read something somewhere, and I didn't look too deep into it, but it was saying something to the effect, this is the cut Snyder wanted in theaters, and Warner Brothers wanted it to be, 2.5 hours, which I understand, but I don't know. For me, not everyone's going to have the same attitude I do, because if it's a good movie, it's a good movie, and I don't care how long it is. I mean, I'm going to sit through a 3-hour movie with Batman and Superman. I'm not a kid whose attention span only allows for an 11-minute cartoon, which is standard these days. I mean, I don't need to see Batman and Superman singing about burritos. But yeah, I mean, I like the film, and if it does fill these gaps, I'm going to like it incrementally more. I'm still probably never going to give it a perfect score, but I mean, but we know since then Warner Brothers has kind of done a mea culpa, and it's not something you see with studios, and I think in a way they're going to learn from certain mistakes and course correct some of their movies. But what they need to do, and we talked about this last week, and I mean, not to reiterate a topic, but is stop giving us everything at one time. But I think that's a reaction of like saying this is not Batman versus Superman, but it also plays into social media because the generation coming up has a certain sense of entitlement, and they want everything now. Like, okay, Batman versus Superman, saw a delay in release date because, they knew there was no way they were going to meet the original July 2015 release because, I mean, you would have Batman and Superman punching a big green ball that was supposed to be Doomsday in a theatrical cut, I guess. But people just kept saying, release the trailer. And then when they released that first teaser, they didn't show us enough, and it's like, and then when Warner Brothers did kind of show too much, they're like, show too much. And that plays in a way we, talked about other things earlier. You can't have it both ways.
No,
people were still complaining either way. I mean, it's just, I mean, we tend to find a lot of things about Marvel movies, but that tends to be from paparazzi shots. So there's never going to be a way to get around this. I mean, a lot of things were spoiled not necessarily spoiled for Suicide Squad, but we learned things from paparazzi shots when they were shooting on the streets of Toronto. Like Batman's involvement in a Joker car chase, but at least the thing you have to compliment Suicide Squad, we still don't really know entirely what the movie's about. But we're all going to go see it because it looks like a kick-ass movie, and hey, Joker and Harley Quinn, as I believe I said a week ago, they're going to put asses in seats. So
they will. They definitely will. We're definitely looking forward to that. Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that. I know the early reviews for Suicide Squad are out, and they're overwhelmingly positive. So that instills in me a lot of hope for.
I'm looking forward to see his Leto's portrayal of Joker. I mean, honestly, that's what most people are going to see Suicide Squad for. I mean, you want to see Suicide Squad, but the main attraction is everybody wants to see his version of Joker.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily mine. I mean, I love the Suicide Squad just on their own, based on that Gail Simone book from back
Oh
in
yeah,
the Secret
yeah. I
Six.
mean, I want to see the whole movie entirely.
Yeah.
I want to see all the characters, but I am itching. I'm very itching to see his portrayal of Joker.
Definitely, me too. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm building my own version of the Joker for YumaCon. I'm gonna do a cosplay thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking inspiration from different iterations of the character, but yet building my Joker like I have my own character voice and stuff. And I mean, there are like a lot of people who romanticize the Joker, like especially the ones who think Joker and Harley are actually, well, rather think Joker's in love with her, but my Joker's a bit more guttural. My Joker, you don't want to take to the prom. He's genuinely going to scare the shit out of you.
Excuse me, wait a minute. What version of the Joker would you want to take to the prom? Can you tell me that?
Not me. People who romanticize him.
Oh,
think they can tame him. He's a killer, but he'll fall in love with me. No, he'll kill you too. It's like the girls who love Loki. Yeah, he killed 80 people in 2 days, and you probably would have been one of them.
You know, Gokai Red says something in the chat that's very profound. He says his problem with Suicide Squad is, why is Killer Croc a freaking midget? Can't answer that for you. We're used to a big hulking Killer Croc, but obviously we're not going to get that this time. So, but anyway, guys.
I don't know. Maybe they took a little. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Maybe they. You see, he's really got the skin texture of a crocodile, but in a way he almost looks more humanistic. I mean, he wears the hoodie. I wonder if they took inspiration, if anyone read the graphic novel Joker by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo. It's a good standalone Joker story, but they put more of a real world spin on Killer Croc, and he was more like street thuggish, but he still had a skin condition. And Joker likes him just because he gets amusement from this guy that eats people or whatever. But recently when they did the prequel to The Dark Knight Returns, which I thought was really good, Dark Knight Returns, The Last Crusade, which came out a couple weeks back. Brian Azzarello is a co-writer on it, and the Killer Croc in that was very reminiscent of that graphic novel, even though it's a separate continuity.
The way you describe that Killer Croc, that is what it looks like they're portraying in that the Suicide Squad version.
Yeah. Here's what I want out of Suicide Squad. I want them to cut that line, "It's time to save the world." I hope that was literally just a first run trailer line that's going to be cut out of the film. Like, out of all the trailer footage, that's the only thing I want to see cut. Just cut that line, please.
I can hear our whole row. As soon as he says "time to save the world," I can hear our whole row just going, ugh.
Yeah.
It's, dude, if they can find it in their heart, whoever's editing that film, if you happen to be watching this broadcast or even the replay, cut that out, because that is the cheesiest line in.
Let that be the one thing that every time they show trailers, they always have parts missing that they don't show in the movie. Let that be one of them.
Yeah, just boom. Ended up on the cutting room floor. Don't know what happened to it, Will. Sorry.
Right. Well, anyway, guys.
That is not. I'm sorry, that is not something Floyd Lawton would say. Not like that, especially.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. So anyway, it's about that time, and I want to thank Eric Joseph for joining us tonight. Of course, on Friday, make sure you see Batman vs Superman, the director's cut by then, and you can hop on the show and let's talk about what it improved, what it didn't improve, and does it overall change your opinion of the film. It'll be our final verdict on Batman vs Superman, and we won't be talking about it in any kind of critical sense after Friday's show. So for GQ, for Big Kahuna, and for Eric, I'm Kishiro. We'll see you guys on Friday. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Everybody.
Hasta la pasta.
And out our Krusty who's getting ready to move.